Let's look at another example that adds missing premises using this principle of charity, being charitable. And imagine we're confronted with somebody, we're talking about basketball, and the guy says, look, we can safely conclude that LeBron James is tall. After all, he's an NBA player. Okay, now let's try to figure out what argument this person has. Well, it sounds like he's saying LeBron James is an NBA player, therefore LeBron James is tall. Okay, and again, as with our examples before, the conclusion does not follow logically from that premise. There's a missing premise that we should be adding because it is not valid as is. So we're going to use the principle of charity to try to add a premise to at least make a valid inference and make it the best argument we can. All NBA players are tall. LeBron James is an NBA player, therefore LeBron James is tall. So we added as a first premise. It really doesn't matter if you add first or second premise. We added something that we think is going to make it valid, and it looks like it is valid, right? Because it's all A's or B's. X LeBron James is an A, therefore he's a B. But is it sound? That is, are all the premises true? Well, that's problematic, right? Because that first premise that we added is an implicit premise. So what we should do is we should go back now and annotate that argument to show what our implicit and our explicit premises are. Okay, so our first premise was an implicit premise. Is it sound? Well, we said not. That first premise is false, right? There have been people, and there are guys who are short, 5'6", 5'8" tall, who are NBA, National Basketball League. That is, they're professional players in the National Basketball League. So now we really haven't been so charitable to the person in providing this as the implicit premise, in providing number one, that is, as the implicit premise, right? Because, as we said, there are a few short NBA players, but the vast majority of them are tall. But the fact that the vast majority are tall indicates that maybe there's a better argument, maybe there's a better premise. So let's take a look at what that might be. The principle of charity has us try to make the argument well-formed, as we call it, or has good logic, right? Well, how about this one? Most NBA players are tall. That one looks like it's true. LeBron James is an NBA player, therefore he is tall. Now let's ask, is this a valid argument? No, right? But it is a cogent inductive argument. It is a good inductive argument. It shows good inductive logic. So now we can decide if it is sound or if it is strong. That is, by sitting there and just assessing the premises, because we have an argument now that shows good logic. I think it's fair to say that the person who is giving this argument, this is what he intended, or at least this is a reasonable interpretation of what he intended, and it looks like we have a good argument. And this is what we are trying to do when we are reconstructing arguments.